Hello, everybody. Wasn't sure if the camera was on, but it clearly is. So, first of all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Kwezi Kwanzaa, Tip Top Tet, and a very solemn and dignified Ramadan. I know some of those holidays are not actually occurring right now, but it's a Simpsons reference. If you don't get it, you're too young. Sorry. It's from a very, very, very old Simpsons episode, from one of the first Simpsons episodes. I think the one they introduced. No, it was after they'd introduced Krusty. But it was Krusty who says the line. Anyway, neither here nor there. You know, when you see one of these, that I've not been recording. And that is the truth. I was planning on recording today. Today was my day off. There was a whole plan set about for today, and almost none of it actually came to pass. So, the original plan was, I had ordered a bookshelf from IKEA, which I mentioned in the previous video. I had ordered it by then. It was supposed to have arrived yesterday, as in Wednesday, December 30th. That way, I could pick it up, bring it inside, set it up overnight, and have the bookshelf that I needed. Therefore, I would have everything out of the way. I could sleep on all the work that I would have done to do that. Didn't come to pass. The FedEx driver who was driving the IKEA package here decided at the foot of the hill, and he was probably right, that he would not be able to make it up the hill. When I say the foot of the hill, I'm talking about, I live off of Highway 82, US 82 in New Mexico. I live about a mile, maybe, not nearly as much as a mile 0.5, but up there, you know, away from the road. That's not as the crow flies, that's by road. And the road is a mountain road. It's technically owned by the county, but the county has insisted that they will not do any maintenance on it. Thank you, Toulouse, for knocking down my books. You just wanted in my lap, didn't you? It's okay. Because the road is not up to their standard. Even though they own it and therefore they built it, their current highway or their current road maintenance standards are not met by that road anymore. So they've refused to do actual maintenance on the road. So it's really, really rough. It's a gravel road. It has some really nasty switchbacks, and it's a bitch to try and drive either up or down. You absolutely require four-wheel drive in the winter in order to get up the hill. And getting down the hill is scary. Okay, there are multiple parts of the road where the road is here, and there's a sheer drop just off to the side of the road. And that's important for a later part of this story. But anyway, so he decided, probably correctly, that his vehicle would not be able to make it up the road in its current conditions. We had a lot of snow. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the news. It was all over the news. El Paso got 8 inches of snow in our little blizzard that we got. We got about 3 feet of snow, and that's not an exaggeration. That's actually true. We got about 3 feet of snow. And the wind was absolutely blistering. I mean, it was a bad time. And we still have snow on the road, and there was actually an additional snowstorm, maybe 2 days ago, 1 or 2 days ago. It would have been Tuesday, I think, so probably 2 days ago. Toulouse, you're here. Yeah. Sorry, bud, but there's a stink bug on my leg, and you're about to step on it. Stink bug. one. There we go. Okay. So the road was slick, to say the least. So he decided yesterday that he was not going to be able to make it up the road. Today, temperatures were actually okay. It was above freezing for most of the day. The sun was out for some of the day. We've had a lot of cloud lately, but we had some sun earlier, and as such, it helped the road to melt. So a lot of the ice was not so much a problem anymore, so he decided to try and come up. I didn't know that he was going to try and come up the hill. I had assumed. I woke up, as is my wont, at about 3 in the afternoon, and having not heard anything from FedEx, I assumed that he just wasn't going to make it up the hill. Normally, he makes it about 2:30 or 3, but again, it was one of those, it's like, well, a lot of times he gets here around noon, and a lot of times he gets here around 12:30 or 1 o'clock. So it's like, I don't know that he's going to make it, or that he even tried. So I was just, I need to go to the post office. While I'm out, I'm going to grab some food, do a little bit of relaxing, come home, assume that the bookshelf isn't going to get here, try and do some recording anyway, yada yada. Well, on my way down the hill, the FedEx guy was on his way up the hill. We ran into each other, almost literally. And it was almost literal because when we saw each other, he stopped, and I hit the brakes, which was a mistake because I was traveling at about 16 miles an hour. It's safe on the road at 15. But I was traveling just that little bit extra, and so when you hit the brakes on ice, going that little bit extra, you slide. And I slid. And I slid down the hill about 10 feet and started sliding off the side of the road. And it was off the side of the road towards one of those cliffs. So it was genuinely terrifying. Thankfully, I was actually sliding towards a snowdrift that had been piled up by Raymond, the guy who plows the road. But because it's a gravel road, of course, he can't plow it very well. Neither here nor there. But the fact was, he did plow it, so there was a snowbank there. So I did end up, sliding kind of gently into the snowbank, where I did stop, thankfully. But if that snowbank hadn't been there, I'd be probably in the hospital right now. So I was trying to get out of his way because the road is, it's only about as wide as a standard one-lane road. 2 cars can pass each other on this road, but it's very, very tight. And so I was actually trying to get out of his way and slid. And when I finally did stop and managed to, and when I stopped, I managed to gain traction again. I backed up a little bit, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop here, get out of the car, and I talked to the FedEx guy. He was like, you know what? I've got your package right here. Why don't I just hand it to you? I don't know that you're going to be able to make it up. And I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it back up the hill to pick up what you're going to drop. And I don't really want to leave it sitting outside because there's still a foot of snow on the ground, and it's an IKEA package. IKEA, of course, is particle board furniture. Particle board does not do very well at all with any moisture. So the snow that we had was a bad thing. And I was not looking forward to leaving this package in the snow on the ground, especially with the snow melting as it was, while I go down to the post office. So he was like, you know what, let's just, I'll give you the package. He didn't tell me this, but he had a couple more packages up the hill that he needed to deliver. But he went on his way, and I went to put the package in the back of my car, thinking, well, I still got to go to the post office. I'll go down to the post office, and on my way back up, I'll be a lot more careful about staying where I can get some traction. And that was another problem is, of course, when you're trying to get out of the way of somebody, you go off the part of the road that has traction, which makes it impossible to stay, on the road. But I'm okay. I'm okay. So I went to go put the package in the back of my car, and it didn't fit. The package is, I think it's 79 inches total, so with the cardboard and everything that was, to pad the bookshelf, it was close to 80 inches, which is, give or take 7.5 feet, which is huge, and in fact too long to fit in my car. Even if you go, have the package lengthwise all the way down the middle of the car into the control console on the side. So it would have been dangerous for me to drive like that if the package had fit, and it didn't. So I was like, God damn it, I have to do something with this package. I can't just leave it here, and there's no way in hell it's going to fit in my car, so I can't even drive it back at this point. So I started walking, and this is a good quarter mile away from my house. And I'm carrying a 65-pound box full of particle board furniture at about 7.5 feet long. I got winded very, very quickly. That's another thing, too, is we're at about 7,200 feet above sea level right now, so there's very little oxygen. While my pacemaker has helped considerably in giving me energy to be able to, and it lets me feel like I have breath again, and all that, it was not enough to be able to carry 65 pounds of bookshelf up a hill at 7,200 feet for a quarter mile. I couldn't do it. So I found a relatively dry part of the ground. I set the package down. I walked back to the office, because the office, we have 3 golf carts. And one of those golf carts has, it's what we call the bucket cart. It's a cart with a tray in the back. Instead of 2 extra seats, it has a tray. And so I was going to grab this. Well, the day shift guy, Jeff, was using it at the time, but I came up to him. Jeff, do you mind if I borrow your cart? Not at all. What do you need? And so I told him what was going on, and I was like, well, shit, take it. Go get your package and drop it off and do whatever you need to do. So I did. I took the golf cart down to where I had left the package, picked it up, put it in the back of the cart. On the way up to my cabin, then this place, past the FedEx guy again, who saw that I was carrying the same package in the back of a golf cart, not my car. So he kind of stopped. He's like, "Are you all right?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I got it. Don't worry about it." So, got it here, got it inside. Went to go get the golf cart to return it to Jeff, the day shift guy, and it was stuck in the ice, so it wouldn't move. And I didn't realize. Apparently, this is common knowledge. It's not common knowledge to me, but it was common knowledge to anybody who's ever driven a golf cart before who isn't me. Golf carts are one-wheel drive. I thought they were two-wheel drive. So, I got in the cart, I started hitting the gas, and nothing. Just absolutely nothing. And I'm like, God damn it, I'm stuck in the ice, because that was my reaction. So I got out, kind of let the golf cart coast back so that the one rear left tire was on traction, on actual gravel. And I went to hit the gas again, and absolutely nothing. So, same thing. So I got out, and I looked at the back tire as I started hitting the gas, and the back tire wasn't moving. Well, of course it wasn't moving, because it's not a two-wheel drive cart, but I didn't know that. So I assumed that the cart had run out of batteries, and just it wasn't telling anybody that it was low on batteries. So I went, found Jeff, was like, dude, we're going to need to get the Polaris out. I got the golf cart either stuck or it's run out of juice or something. And so he took one look at it, said, of course you're stuck, you're on ice, dumbass. And he backed it up so that the right tire the rear right tire was on gravel, and suddenly it moved because that's the only tire that has any drive. So I'm like, sorry, thanks, Jeff. But because he was there, he was like, you know what? I'm right here. I've got you here. I'll just drive you to your car. And so he did. He drove me down to my car. And I went down to the post office then and picked up, I had this package of these books here, which are Theory and Application of Infinite Series, A Student's Guide to Waves, Partial Differential Equations for Scientists and Engineers, and the book that Toulouse dropped on the floor, which is... I don't know where it is. It's behind me somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's Introduction to Ordinary Differential Equations, or Ordered Differential Equations, something. Anyway, not that I need it, but, because I aced ordered differential equations in college, but that was, upwards of 7 years ago that I aced it, and I haven't used any ordered differential equations ever since. I remember calculus pretty well, but analysis is something entirely different, and it's a very unique animal. So I needed a little bit of a refresher, so I bought these books, and I've been buying textbooks, which are now in my nice new bookshelf. But as a result of that whole trek, I am exhausted, or I was exhausted then. Now, I was planning on stopping at one of the restaurants down the hill, the Barn Door, which is my favorite restaurant in the area. I stop at the Mayhill Cafe usually just because it's more convenient, but the Barn Door has a lot better food, and really a lot better prices too. I really like the Barn Door, and I would strongly recommend, if you're ever in the area, which why would you ever be in the area? But if you are, if you're a scientist who happens to come to New Mexico skies, or happens to be in Cloudcroft or something, I would recommend going to the Barn Door. But I was so exhausted by this endeavor that I didn't want to go. I was like, God damn it, I just don't want to. I want to go get my books, come home, build my bookshelf, and be done with it. And so I got home, and Scarmelione had already knocked the shelving unit down, the box down. Thankfully, he hadn't killed himself. The thing, like I said, it was 65 pounds, and at 7 feet, 65 pounds becomes a hell of a lot of force. If he had been underneath it when that force hit, he'd be dead. He would absolutely be dead. And so, thankfully, he wasn't underneath it, or neither was Toulouse, obviously. But he did manage to knock it down. So it's like, son of a bitch, I need to open this up and get it built and get it done now, so that the kitten doesn't get into it anymore. And, well, that was an endeavor. I understand now why people like IKEA furniture. It's heavy. Like, it's seriously heavy duty. Even though it's particle board, it's like inch-thick particle board. This bookshelf is fucking ridiculous. Compared to any other particle board furniture I've ever had, this thing could survive far, far longer. The shelves that provide structural support for the shelving unit are secured by wood dowels, metal rods, and those little plastic discs that you kind of have to jimmy into place and then screw in, that hold the metal rods from letting the side separate. So it was like, three-pronged attack. And those metal rods had serious fucking screws on the side of them. Just ridiculous amount of engineering went into this. And so I'm really impressed. But it was a pain in the ass to try and build it because it's a 79-inch tall bookshelf. I don't have 7 feet just lying around in my cabin. There's not enough room for it. So I had to kind of jimmy it around, and part of it was done on the bed, and part of it was done in the... It was crazy. Every time I had to move it around, I had to move fucking 65 pounds of particle board to get it into place so I could do the next thing.
I lost my dead blow hammer. I don't know where any of my hammers are. So instead of a hammer, I used a I used my fucking really serious flashlight. I can't think of the name of the company now. I keep wanting to say Maglite, but it's not Maglite. It might be Maglite. Might be Maglite. I was using that to hammer in the backboard for this thing, which is actually masonite, which is really cool. I've got a stink bug on my shoulder now. The same one, but because I was using a Maglite to hammer in these nails, I ruined the front board, the front portion of the masonite, because I was hammering in with the back of a Maglite, which is not ideal. But thankfully, it's a part where, books are going to be always. So I wasn't too worried about it. I'm trying to get this stink bug off my shoulder. You really like me, don't you? I don't know why. There we go. Can you see him? There we go. Yeah. Same guy. I don't know why he likes me. No. Dude, go. There you go. Anyway. I'm probably going to be picking him off me again in another 15 minutes. So, finally got the bookshelf built. And of course, Scarmelion is constantly trying to climb it and constantly trying to get in my way because it's something new, and I don't blame him for it. He's a kitten. It's what he does. But it was really frustrating at the time, so I'm sitting here, cat, get out of there, and pick him up, put him on the bed. 5 seconds later, he'd be in there. Cat, get out of there. Cat, come on. So, finally get the thing built, and of course, I don't have room for it and the bookshelf it was replacing, which wasn't really a bookshelf so much as a mesh wire shelving unit. And so I had to kind of try and load the new bookshelf with books from the old bookshelf to get books off of the old bookshelf so I could break it down, so I could get it out of the way and put the new bookshelf in its place, which was a huge endeavor. Whatever energy I had after building this monster, I had none after, reorganizing everything. It was so absolutely exhausting. And I'm really glad to have it done, because it looks fucking gorgeous. I need another, there's one shelf on it, like, most of the shelves are about 14 to 16 inches tall, and there's one at the bottom that's like 2 feet, because they didn't provide enough shelves. So I need to get on IKEA's website and see if I can order another shelf to try and organize it a little bit better, because right now, the bottom shelf is a pile of crap, which is not ideal at all. And there's plenty of room for a second shelf there. It's a pain in the ass is what it is. But most of the stuff that was on the old shelf fit, along with all of the new textbooks that I picked up over the last, month or so. So I've got a lovely assortment. One shelf entirely is dedicated to my new textbooks. And not all of my new textbooks actually fit there. There's one that I had to put down below because it's just barely, it's like less than 1/4 of an inch thick. But it doesn't fit. The shelf is full. So, it's like, whatever, I'll just put it down here. It's not that big a deal. It's not actually a textbook that I need. And this isn't even all the textbooks that I'm going to need for the next 4 years. There's my optics textbook that hasn't come in yet. Several quantum mechanics textbooks that haven't come in yet. I'm sure there's a thermodynamics textbook, but I haven't been able to find any information on that book. What book I need or anything like that. The professor for that class, it alternates kind of between Dr. Minchwaner and Dr. Westphal, I believe. I know Dr. Westphal teaches it. I'm pretty sure Dr. Minchwaner also teaches it. Not that you know who any of these people are. Unless you're a student of New Mexico Tech, which I'm pretty sure none of you are. New Mexico Tech is such a unique school that if you were a student there, I'd probably know it. But I am planning on returning, which is why I'm buying all these textbooks, and I already told you all about that in the previous video. But yeah, I've got textbooks still on the way, and I still haven't been able to find, for example, the thermodynamics textbook. I also haven't been able to find the probability and statistics textbook. Actually, I haven't been able to find any of the math class textbooks. So, ProbStat. Are you serious? Well, come on up. Come on up. He doesn't want to come up. It's Toulouse. Oh, he did. Hey, bud. I'm talking to people. Yeah. You're a people too, aren't you? Yes, you are. Scarmelion's laying over there. Thank God. He has run himself tired, which for a kitten is impressive. Anyway, so any of the math classes, ProbStat, basic concepts of mathematics, which sounds really simple but isn't at all, and partial differential equations. I've not been able to find the textbook for that either. I found the textbook that the class used to use, and I know because I have taken the class before. I did not attend, which is why I'm taking it again, but I did take it before. And that's a rant for another time. I already went over it in the previous episode where, work just made it impossible for me to attend class. And Math 336, which is partial differential equations, was one of the classes that really had that problem. In fact, it was one of the first classes that really had that problem. I was taking it and ProbStat side by side, and I couldn't take either of them because work was constantly on me. But that's neither here nor there. Fact is, right now I haven't been able to find those textbooks. I have been able to find the old textbook for partial differential equations. I don't know if it's the same textbook they're using now because nobody in the math department knows how to build a web page for their students at all. Everyone in the physics department, their website, their web pages are impeccable. It's perfect. They have web pages for every single class. Every single web page has a link to a PDF of their syllabus for the class. They have a schedule of what lectures are going to be when for the class, when homework is going to be due. Homework is on their web page. They have PDFs. Math department, it's like, this is me, here's my curriculum vitae, and I'm teaching these classes this semester. No information, no class page, no PDFs, no syllabus, nothing on almost all of these class pages. The one professor who has some information about the classes on his webpage is Oleg Makhny, Dr. Makhny, who is a phenomenal professor. I really like him, I do. I want to say I had Calculus 2 with him, but I know I've had a class with him. And he's a pretty good teacher, he really is. But he's the only person who has any information on their webpage about their classes. Other than just, this is what I'm teaching. Perfect, Thanks. I need to know the textbook so I can order it. Oh, you don't need to know the textbook now. Well, that's not what it said, but that's what it implied, because they don't have that information. Anyway, so I don't have any of the math textbooks yet, because I don't know what textbooks the math classes will require. I know they'll require them. The Basic Concepts math book, I was able to find that, and it is, in fact, the same edition that they were using before. But again, I don't know if that's the textbook that they're still using. I hope it is, but if it's not, it's at least a textbook that I can review and look at and say, oh, well, going into the class, I can look at it and remind myself, because that's another class that I took at one point and couldn't attend because of work. And I remember quite a bit from that class, actually. It is difficult, but it's not as difficult as I kind of made it out to be originally. It's a lot more difficult than it sounds. Basic concepts of mathematics is talking about the very fundamental stuff to do with mathematics. So, like, when you're in high school, at least when I was in high school, in algebra class, we were given 5 axioms of algebra, rules and tenets that are necessary to continue learning algebra, because they are things that are just taken for granted. They are absolute proof. If those aren't true, algebra doesn't work. And basic concepts of mathematics goes back to those axioms and says, why? Why do those work? And it asks you to prove them. And you do. You have to prove this shit. Basic concepts of mathematics is all about proving mathematics. So, physics is all about proving outcomes. You have an outcome and you say, why did that happen? And you come up with an explanation. And, other scientists are like, no, that's bullshit. Why the hell would you think that's right? Or, you did it! Basic concepts of mathematics is science-based math. It is the proof of mathematics. As a result, you learn set theory in basic concepts, which is a huge deal. At least we kind of touched on set theory in high school. I don't know what the standard high school experience is, because I didn't have the standard high school experience. I went to a private high school, which was in fact a college preparatory high school. And so the algebra class that I took was in fact what most people would consider college level algebra. So I don't know if the math that I learned is what is covered in most high school math classes. It probably isn't. But we covered a little bit of set theory in algebra class. But there's a lot more to it. And so basic concepts gets into that. Because it's necessary to know set theory in order to prove math. Because it's really, really necessary. It is. It's necessary. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Fact is, built the bookshelf, got all the books in place, finally managed to break down the old bookshelf, move the new bookshelf into position, and I about passed out for another 2 hours. I sat in the chair because I was so tired. I'm sitting here like, because I was exhausted. So by the time I got done and out of my chair and ready to, make food so I could eat, because I hadn't eaten this entire time either. Remember that. I did all this without food in my system at all. It was about 9 o'clock, and right now it's about 11:30. So it took, so I ate, I watched some YouTube videos, I relaxed, and here we are. And I owe you guys an explanation for what's been going on. And that's what's been going on. I'm absolutely at my limit for what I can take care of right now. And playing a video game is not high on my priority list. It should be. But right now I need the break. Now what I'm going to try to do, over this next week, I'm going to try to record some videos using my Famicom and playing the Famicom Disk System, I'm going to try to play Metroid, the original Metroid, because I've been meaning to do this for a while. It'll be for the channel, and hopefully I'll have the ability to use XSplit with it. I still haven't been able to try XSplit with this new TV box. I don't know if it's going to work, but I hope it will. And if it doesn't, there are ways I can get around it. But anyway, hopefully the footage will be good. Hopefully the footage will be done, usable. And hopefully I'll be able to then put up new material. That's assuming that this week goes without a whole lot of stuff going on, which is a big assumption, admittedly. We've had so much crap go on, and like even this weekend when we had the 3 feet of snow, it's like, well, of course nobody's using the observatory during that period of time, but we still have to make sure that it's not going to collapse. We need to make sure that things are still working. So all night, Friday night, or Saturday night is when it was. All night Saturday night, we were out there every hour shoveling snow. And at the end of the night, we actually had to go out and scrape the snow off of some of our domes, because with enough snow accumulation, the weight adds up, and those domes tend to open if there's enough if there's enough weight on them, which is exactly what we don't want. We don't want telescopes open to the elements when it's a blizzard out. So we had to make sure that everything was still. And when we went out to do that, my boss we have a tractor, and he added the snow plow attachment to the front of it and went out and cleared the road. And by the time we got out there, after he had cleared the road was half full with snow again. Our footprints were filling up as we were walking out there. There was so much snow falling that the snow by itself was cutting visibility. It was insane how much snow was falling, how rapidly at that time. So it was absolutely necessary that we did it. But that's work that we had to do. Even though we were closed, it was stuff that we had to do to make sure that we were able to open again when we did open, which wasn't for a couple of days. But we did open eventually, and we were open even for a couple of hours tonight. We're not open now because we're cloudy, but anyway. So, assuming work goes well, and assuming that assuming I haven't used all of my spoons, if you're familiar at all with that terminology, hopefully this week I will be able to produce some footage for Metroid, the original Metroid, and I do mean the original Metroid, because it was originally for the Famicom Disk System. And we'll go from there. I really hope that next week I'm going to have the ability to record on my day off, but this week it just, as much as I wanted it to happen, there was no way. I was not physically ready for what happened today, and so here we are. So, sorry that I don't have any more footage. I really am sorry for that. I wish that my constitution were a little bit better, that I had that much energy that I could build a bookshelf by myself. That's another thing. The instructions from IKEA, it's got a list of do's and don'ts. And one of the don'ts is, don't assemble this by yourself. Do have a partner. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do that. And I suffered for it. It was a bad time. If I had had a second person here, though, there wouldn't have been enough room for both of us and the bookshelf. So, it's kind of a trade-off. Anyway, so, possibly, there's the possibility that I will be recording new footage next week over the next week on the Famicom Disk System. I'm really hoping that next week I will actually have the energy and the ability to record on Thursday, so that even if I can't do anything this week, I can do something next week. Until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching me ramble this entire time. I'm sorry that this has gone on for 40 minutes again. But it was a lot of information, and I felt it was necessary to give you folks the full story of what was going on and why I'm not doing an episode for now. Why I didn't do a recording session today. So, next time I see you, hopefully it will be sometime within the next week, but it might just be next Friday. Sorry. We'll figure it out. But until then, thank you very much for watching. Hope you're enjoying my videos when I do upload them. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.